70 years ago, they supported a weapon that changed modern warfare, and that was radio detection and ranging, or better known to most of us as radar. Radar was a revolution. Suddenly, coastal defenders could see an enemy, and they lost the element of surprise in an attack. In the case of aircraft, they could also tell altitude and speed. The Western Allies made the first breakthrough, and by 1939, it was spreading to all Britain's former colonies, and that included South Africa.
South Africa down their first taste of war. Although outnumbered by about 10 to 1, they outgunned, outmaneuvered, and outfought the Italians every time. They helped to pave the way.
This was the perfect place for a radar station. It could see right up and down the coast and protect the sensitive shipping lanes around Saldanha Bay. I take it the antenna would have been at the top of this tower.
Quite right. It was mounted right at the top, and of course the antenna is the thing that focuses the radio frequency beam into a narrow beam. It
shoots out into the ocean.
Exactly. It's transmitting pulses of radio energy, and that comes back, and by timing the time it takes from here to go there and back, it gives you the range.
I'm interested to know how close some of these enemy ships would have gotten to the coast.
Well, the ones that we were interested in were submarines, really. We were there to sink the British, or the, shall we say, the Allied shipping, using the Cape Sea route. And I believe there were in the order of 70 submarines around our coast at some time. By daytime, they would be under the water, and then at night they had to come up to charge the batteries.
Yeah.
And that's when you wanted to detect them by radar.
And detect at that point.
Right.
Oh, yeah. My understanding is that a lot of South African, in fact, most South African radar stations were administered by women.
Quite right. Of course, many of the men went off to the war effort in Europe. They recruited freshly graduated women into the army, in fact. They called them the Special Signal Service, SSS.
Okay.
Yeah. And so they would man these stations. Now, in those days, the radars were very, in modern terms, we would say primitive, in the sense that one had to have human beings watching the screen.
Oh, to see the blip.
And then they had to make a measurement to see what angle is it, what range is it, and they would report that by voice over the telephone.
Yeah.
You look at the building there, you can see the hole on the other side where the telephone lines came in.
I'd love to take a look inside.
It's fantastic to still have a place like this where we can see the heat tree actually playing off in front of your eyes, isn't it? This is the technical building where both the equipment and the people were housed. We guess, because we haven't got the plans exactly, but one can deduce from the building the functions here. You can see there's the hole that we saw from the outside where the cables came in. We suspect that there was a cable trail going from there across. You see all the holes through to the other room. So the signal cables probably ran up there, while in these channels here was probably the power for the various equipment racks. So one would expect the transmitter was here, possibly the receiver on that side, and then if we walk through this passage here, we get to the place where the displays were.
I see it's become the local graffiti and hangout site.
Yeah, isn't that a pity? It's such a historical site. One would have loved it to be restored back to what it looked like about 70 years ago. However, this is probably where the displays were, so that the operators would have been here. You see the little entrance portal here, with doors there and here. Of course, one had to it's quite dark to see those screens. So one wanted the outside door to be just in another little room like this.
I imagine that today, I mean, radar has just grown in leaps and bounds. It's so much further advanced than what it was when these people were sitting in this room.
True. Radar, basically.
Quite minimal, actually.
Yes, you can see that. It doesn't look much like a radar right now, but you'll see just now when we put it up.
I'm guessing that you're putting it to the ground and then you're driving the bakkie off?
That's correct. So what we will do is we'll put the feet on the floor and then we'll physically lift it off the car.
Yeah.
And then we can just drive out.
So you can just crank it up?
Yes.
So the flat part here is the antenna. That's what used to be here on this platform in the case of the old radar. In this box behind here is the transmitter and the receiver and the part of the automatic processing that we have nowadays. Everything that used to be, you remember this room which I said was the equipment room?
Yeah.
All that equipment is now really in that little box there.
Wow.
On the screen, what we've seen here is where the cross is located on the screen is where the radar is positioned.
Okay.
So I've zoomed in a bit so that we can just see over here, the line that you see here is the detections that's caused by the waves that are actually working.
What a nifty little radar, hey?
If somebody's poaching, we were able to see the moment he starts moving in the waves with his rubber duck, he was able to see. This radar is sensitive enough to pick up the birds flying as well. So a rubber duck or a person inside a rubber duck is actually quite a big part of the flight. You'll see there's a lot of detections in this area here at the moment. That's the train that you see. There's a train moving there at the moment, and it's actually picking up the train as well.
So the next thing we're trying to do is to come up with a radar that will be even bigger, much bigger than this one, an airborne system on a balloon, so that one can see much further over the horizon, cover wide areas like 300 kilometers at a time, and detect small targets, the sort of thing that is used for border crossings, poaching, piracy, that sort of thing.
Wow. Cutting edge. Today we take radar for granted because it's everywhere. But without it, Britain and its allies might not have won the Second World War. The world might have been quite a different place.